He said he's not ready, but his eyes say he doesn't want to lose you. He tells you he can't commit, but holds you like you're already his. You weren't supposed to feel this confused, and yet, here you are, torn between what he says and what he shows, between silence and softness, between a man who won't choose you but still doesn't let you go. This isn't love. This is the quiet pain of being almost claimed and never fully chosen. He says he's not ready, not for a relationship, not for anything serious, but his actions tell a different story. He texts you when he feels low. He holds you close like you matter. He looks at you like you are home. And somewhere, in the middle of all this, your heart begins to hope. He told you the truth, but only the part that protects him. What he didn't say is that he still wants the warmth of your presence, still wants to be seen, still wants to be wanted, but without responsibility, without risk, without offering you the safety of being fully claimed. And so you stay in the space between the reality he gave you and the emotional illusion he keeps feeding. You start questioning yourself. Maybe if you just stay patient enough, soft enough, understanding enough, he'll finally be ready. Maybe he just needs more time. Maybe he's healing, but deep down, something feels wrong, because you feel the pull, you feel the emotional possession. And yet, when you ask for clarity, he hides behind the words he always repeats. Carl Jung believed the psyche is not built to endure contradictions for long without suffering. And here you are, caught between words and energy, longing and withdrawal, presence and absence. You're not just confused, you're emotionally stretched, because he doesn't say you're his, but everything he does says don't let go. He doesn't introduce you as his partner, but he touches you like you belong to him. He says you're free to do what you want, but pulls away when you do. He disappears, but always comes back right before your heart begins to close, and you start to wonder if you're asking for too much. If maybe this is just how connection feels now. But this isn't connection, this is control. He's not loving you. He's using your love to fill a void he refuses to face. He stays close enough to feel seen, but far enough to avoid responsibility. He wants your energy, your care, your devotion, but without the truth that love demands. And you begin to shrink. You stop asking for clarity. You silence your needs. You become the woman who waits, who adjusts, who justifies his silence with empathy. You carry the weight of his indecision like it belongs to you. And that is how self-abandonment begins. What hurts the most is that he's not cruel. He's kind, gentle even, and that makes it harder to walk away. Because his presence feels healing, but his inconsistency cuts through you like a slow, invisible wound. Your nervous system stays on edge, never knowing if he's here or gone. You tell yourself you're okay with this. You tell others you're taking it slow. But deep inside, you are waiting for the moment he changes. Waiting for the moment he realizes what he's about to lose. Waiting for the moment he finally chooses you. But he already chose, and it wasn't you. Not choosing you is still a choice. Not being ready is still a message. And no matter how warm his hands are, no matter how intimate the eye contact, his absence speaks louder than his presence. Carl Jung said that what we do not bring to consciousness will return as fate. Your silence, your self-sacrifice, your repressed needs will keep repeating as pain, as disappointment, as emotional confusion, until you name them, until you choose you. He keeps you close to avoid his own emptiness, but too far to be held accountable. And every time you allow it, you give away another piece of yourself. Not because you're weak, but because your heart is loyal, because you saw something real in him, and that glimpse became your hope. But a glimpse is not enough. Love requires presence, truth, choice. Anything less is a slow erosion of your self-worth, disguised as intimacy. You deserve someone who doesn't just feel something for you in private. You deserve someone who stands beside you in the light and says, I choose her, not someday, not when he's ready, but now. Until then, your role is not to prove that you're worthy of being chosen. Your role is to protect the version of you that already knows she is. Asterisk. You start noticing how often you explain his behavior to yourself. How often you lower your needs just to stay connected. You convince yourself that what you have is special, even though it leaves you aching more than it brings you peace. And you begin to mistake intensity for intimacy. Just because something feels deep doesn't mean it is safe. Just because he touches your soul doesn't mean he is meant to hold it. Every time he leans in, your hope reactivates. Every time he pulls away, your nervous system collapses. This cycle is not love. It is emotional confusion disguised as longing. It is your tenderness being used to soften his guilt. He doesn't want to lose you, but he also doesn't want to grow into the man you deserve. He wants the benefits of connection without the cost of commitment. And you're the one paying the price. You wait for consistency from someone who only knows how to offer fragments. You hope he'll eventually step into his full presence. But deep down, part of you knows he won't. He already showed you who he is, and every time you ignore that, you abandon the woman inside you who is quietly whispering, "Please choose me first." You were not made to be loved. You were not made to be someone's emotional safety net. You were not made to beg for clarity in between moments of closeness. The love you're seeking does not live in uncertainty. It lives in alignment, in words that match actions, in touch that comes with truth, in presence that does not vanish when it's inconvenient. He may care about you. He may even feel something strong for you, but feelings without courage are not enough. If he is not willing to stand beside you fully, then no amount of waiting will turn him into the man you need. That transformation has to come from him, not from your patience. The truth is, you deserve to be chosen when it's still a risk, when it's still messy, when it's not convenient. Because that is when love is most real. When someone sees your depth and says yes, not later, not maybe, but now. You are not too much. You are not asking for too much. You are asking for honesty, for direction, for emotional maturity. And if he can't give you that, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of his limits. And now, it's time to return to yourself, to the version of you that does not confuse closeness with connection. That does not stay just because it feels familiar. That does not shrink just to be held by hands that do not know how to stay. You are allowed to walk away from almost. You are allowed to say no to emotional crumbs. You are allowed to want more, and wait for the kind of love that does not confuse you. You are allowed to be the one who leaves first, even if part of you still wants to stay. Because sometimes, walking away is how you finally become free. Before we go deeper, here's something that might shift everything. If you've ever waited for someone to be ready, while slowly disappearing in the process, the Jung Method can help you understand what your soul truly needs. The link is pinned in the first comment. He knows what he is doing, even if he says he doesn't, even if he plays innocent, even if he calls himself confused. Because deep down, every man knows when he is holding on to a woman he is not ready to keep. He may not be aware of the damage it causes. He may not have language for it. But the moment he feels your absence and pulls you back with just enough affection to stop you from leaving, that is not confusion. That is control. And it is subtle. That is what makes it so powerful. Because it is not loud. It does not scream. It does not demand. It whispers. It lingers. It uses timing and silence and softness to keep you emotionally tethered. He doesn't tell you to stay. He just makes it hard to go. He says you are free, that he does not want to hold you back. But when you take space, he shows up. When you try to move on, he reappears. When you begin to forget, he sends something small, a message, a song, a memory, just enough to pull you back into the emotional space he refuses to fully enter with you. And you respond, not because you are weak, but because the bond feels real. Because your heart remembers how it felt when he looked at you like you were the only thing in the world that made sense. Because you still believe there is something sacred under all his confusion. Because hope has become your way of surviving the in-between. But this is not hope. This is emotional captivity. Carl Jung warned us that what we do not face in ourselves becomes what controls us. When a man avoids commitment, avoids presence, avoids responsibility, it is not just about fear, it is about power. And when you stay in that space, loving someone who is not fully showing up, your own power begins to dissolve. You stop trusting yourself. You stop listening to your inner knowing. You become the version of you that settles for less, just to keep something that looks like love. But what if love is not meant to feel like waiting? What if it is not meant to keep you guessing? What if real love begins where confusion ends? You are not hard to love. You are just trying to be loved by someone who only knows how to take without giving. Someone who sees your heart as a shelter from his own emptiness. Someone who wants access to your energy, but not to your truth. He says he is not ready, but readiness is not a timeline. It is not about months or years. It is about willingness. It is about choosing. It is about standing in front of you with clarity and saying yes, even if he is still healing, even if he is still learning, even if it scares him. You do not need a perfect man. You need a present one. And yet, here you are, with a man who keeps offering almost consistent, almost vulnerable, almost honest. And the ache you carry is not just for him. It is for the parts of you that began to vanish in the name of patience, in the name of maybe, in the name of one day. But he is not confused. He is comfortable in the space where he gets your warmth without giving you clarity. Comfortable with the emotional benefits of your presence without the responsibility of your future. You gave him your softness, your presence, your time, and in return, he gave you silence where there should have been truth. He gave you cycles instead of growth. He gave you hope instead of direction. And now, you are tired, not just emotionally, but spiritually, because your soul was not made to live in waiting rooms. It was made for devotion, for certainty, for the kind of connection that does not require you to become smaller to be held. Carl Jung believed that true healing comes when we become conscious of the roles we play. And maybe it is time to step out of the role of the woman who waits. Maybe it is time to stop translating his confusion into depth. Maybe it is time to ask the one question that changes everything. What am I still trying to prove to someone who already made his choice? Because he did choose. Every day he stays silent. Every day he stays passive. Every day he allows you to love him without protecting your heart in return. That is a choice, and you are allowed to respond to that choice with distance, with clarity, with departure. You do not have to teach him your worth. You do not have to become more patient. You do not have to wait for the day he becomes ready, because you are already ready. And that means something. That means you have outgrown the game. That means you have remembered your value. That means you have finally stopped giving the best of you to someone who only shows up when he feels you slipping away. The love you are meant for will not play hide and seek with your heart. It will not come in pieces. It will not require you to live in emotional tension just to feel close to someone. It will come with clarity. It will come with direction. It will come with truth, and you will feel it in your body. You will feel peace where there was anxiety. You will feel consistency where there was chaos. You will feel love that holds instead of love that haunts. But first, you must choose you, even if it hurts. Even if it means walking away from someone who still makes your heart ache. Even if part of you still hopes, because that part of you is not wrong. It is just tired. It is just scared. It is just trying to find safety in the only place it has known affection. But now you know the difference between affection and alignment, between attention and devotion, between someone who wants your body and someone who wants your soul. And you are allowed to choose the one who chooses all of you, not when he is ready, but when you are no longer willing to live in almost. You gave him the best of you in silence, in moments no one else saw, in the ways you waited, softened, forgave, and believed. And now, you carry the invisible weight of every moment you didn't walk away when your heart already knew the truth. But there is something sacred about this moment too, because now, you see it, with clear eyes, with an open heart. You see what this was, and what it was never going to be. This is the turning point, not because he changed, but because you finally did. Because you no longer need his love to feel lovable. You no longer need his words to feel seen. You no longer need to be chosen to believe you are worthy. The truth is, you were never hard to love. You were just deeply available to someone who was emotionally absent. And from that realization, you rise. Not bitter, not angry, but whole. You rise as a woman who no longer waits for someone else's clarity to find her peace. You rise as a woman who no longer needs to be understood to feel valid. You rise as the woman who finally came home, not to him, but to herself.